So today I want to discuss goal setting. Now I have talked about goal setting in a prior video, and if you want to go check it out, I posted it a few months back. It's called 3 Steps to Achieving Your Goals. But since then I've added some new understanding and ideas into the full concept of our journey on our goal setting adventures. So I wanted to make this new video, and I want to actually start by understanding how we operate a little more on a biological level, and then go into a few of the neural circuits that are involved within every single goal-setting pursuit. So to start, I want to talk about how on an evolutionary level, we are designed to thrive and survive. So when we talk about thriving, we must talk about dopamine. That is what tells us when something is good or something is right. It tells us when we are safe. For many of us, we get addicted to a dopamine release because of how good it makes us feel. But on a biological level, dopamine is what tells us when something is good or right, and that is why we are attracted to it. And then on the other hand, we have norepinephrine. And norepinephrine is what tells us when something is wrong. This is fight or flight. So the body will actually, on a physiological level, change to take on or escape from whatever dangers are directly in front of us. Norepinephrine is going to be directly related to our first neural circuit within every goal-setting pursuit, and that is the amygdala. Now, the amygdala is where the activation of fight or flight occurs. This is the space that is where we feel emotions, and it is where fear and anxiety reside. So the good part about fear, that it is fear that actually drives us more towards our goals than the idea of what our life will look like if we do succeed. So that is the first neural circuit within every goal-setting pursuit. And now there are 4 that are actually within every pursuit, but I'm only going to discuss the amygdala and then the third circuit, which is the prefrontal cortex. And I'm going to bring up the prefrontal cortex because this is where logical decisions happen. This is actually what balances the amygdala to where when those emotions arise, we understand how to cognitively process the information in front of us. So is this a dangerous situation? And then respond to be able to react in an appropriate way. Now, an interesting fact, many of you know I preach about sleep consistently. When we obtain 7 to 8 hours of sleep every single night, there is a balance between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. However, when we sleep less than 6 hours, there is a disconnect, meaning that when these emotions arise, or when this fear and anxiety is placed within us, we do not have the balance within the prefrontal cortex to rationally understand how to handle this situation. So not only is sleep good for us on a physiological and mental and psychological level, it is also essential neurologically and within the goal-setting realm to help us pursue our goals in an optimal way. Now that we have just a super basic understanding of a few of the elements of how we operate on a biological and neurological level, I want to get down into the actual nitty-gritty aspects of goal setting. And many times people are going to discuss setting long-term goals and short-term goals, and we're going to get there. But first, I would argue that there is a necessity to create a hero character for your life. Now, if we look within the Christian faith, Jesus was a living example of the perfect life to what we should strive to become. Now, I don't know if you remember, probably like 15 to 20 years ago, people were walking around with WWJD bracelets. This is what would Jesus do? And in a sense, this was just to be a reminder, literally worn on your wrist, to when a situation arises to where maybe you want to react within a negative or angry or some type of way, stop and pause and think, Now, in this situation, what would Jesus do? What would his reaction be? So when we create a hero type character, we want to elevate ourselves. We want to see where we can be at the end of life if we have achieved everything that we can only dream and imagine who we can become. So when we have that hero character created within every situation in life, because we as humans, we're going to make mistakes. We are going to do things that are out of character in a sense. But within all those wrongdoings, or within every decision that we make, we have a character that we can match our actions against and say, does this action align with who I'm trying to become? Once we have that set, now we can move into our long-term goals. And now long-term goals, you can set goals out 10, 15, 20 years. But a lot of people have a problem doing that and sticking to it because it is so out of reach and it feels so unrealistic. So setting a long-term goal, if you look 3 to 5 years in advance, where do you want your life to be in 3 to 5 years? Now let's look at our health, physically and mentally. Family life. What is your optimal family life? Are you married? Are you single? Do you have kids? Where are you in your career? Do you work for yourself? Have you gotten those promotions within your corporation? In an ideal world, where are you in 3 to 5 years? Set that as your long-term goal. Then we can move into our short-term goals. Now these can be in the 1 to 3 year range. I like to keep it in 1 year though. What can you accomplish in the next year that is going to take you that one step closer to your long-term goals? Now these goals, now I did talk in my last video about SMART goals. And while I don't really actually love the idea of SMART goals, so I'm not really sure why I talked about it, SMART goals are more specific, they're measurable. If you are, let's say you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to lose 20 pounds, that is a specific and measurable goal that you can attempt to achieve within a year. Maybe this is you want to earn a certain amount of money. Whatever this 1 year goal is, it should be in direct alignment with those long-term goals. And ideally, within your long-term goals, all those elements, your health, your family life, your career, ideally all of those are moving you in the same direction. Because where we find an issue is if we're trying to place energy into too many directions. So rather than being able to put our full effort into obtaining these aspects of life that you really want to achieve, you find yourself pulled into many different directions. And this is why we find, like, for me personally, I have failed in a sense or walked away from relationships because I did not feel that they aligned with the long-term direction of my life. So that is why it is very important, the people that you place in your life. Where you are working, is it a supportive environment for you to grow and evolve into the person you are trying to become, that hero character? All of these should be aligned towards that common goal, to becoming that person that you see at the top of the mountain at the end of life. Once you have those short-term goals set, again, you could have 1 or 2 set for your health, for your family goals, or for your career. Again, but they should always be in alignment with those 3 to 5 year goals. So then moving into your habits and routines. This is what you do on a daily basis that is going to take you that just one small step forward toward achieving your goals. And what is hard about daily habits and routines is we do not see their direct impact every single day. Because we live in a society that is dominated by instant gratification. We want those results right now. Going to the gym today, you're not going to see any results. but you maintain that as a daily habit and a lifestyle for 1 year, you will definitely see some results. Now, with those daily habits and routines, what we're actually trying to do is develop muscle memory. If you look at any elite athlete, they have drilled the basics of their sport and their skills. It is so deeply ingrained into every fiber of their being that when they are within high pressure moments, when they are out on the field or the court, they can get into what is called flow state, which is where they have combined their skill with their creative nature to be flowing in a way that it looks artistic. You can see like the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, the flow that they had within their game was due to those daily habits and routines that were ingrained within every fiber of their being. Muscle memory. Now, working on an unconscious level like that is not always good. Many times we find that we are actually producing poor habits, or we are living in a way to where we are unconsciously destroying ourselves in a little way every single day. So that is why it is so essential to adopt the habits and routines that are right for the direction of your life. One of the most important elements of setting all of these rather than just one or the other comes back to those basic molecules of dopamine and norepinephrine. Because dopamine releases when we have accomplished something, when we have done something right. So if we only set a hero character, that Jesus figure, that perfect image of ourselves, we're never realistically going to be able to obtain that level of perfection. So we will never receive the dopamine release to tell us that we are on the right path. That is why there is the necessity to set those short-term goals and those long-term goals, so we can have those small achievements to tell us that yes, we are on the right path. But then also we do not only want to set short-term goals or only have habits and routines, because once we accomplish it, once we do it once, we get that dopamine release of success, but we no longer have that fear, the release of norepinephrine that tells us that we still have work to do. We need that combination. We need the balance of what is telling us that we are moving in the right direction, but also that we are not there yet. As is true and consistent with everything in life, we must find the balance. We must find the balance of the dopamine and norepinephrine. We must find that balance through the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. Then we must find the alignment from the hero character all the way down to our habits and routines. At the end of the day, we all have something more that we want to achieve within our lives. So it is understanding the structure of how we can become the best versions of ourselves, not only for ourselves, but for everyone else around us. Take the time, create your hero character, then write down your long-term and short-term goals, and then it's time to discover what habits and routines you must integrate in your life daily to become your most highly functional and optimal self.